What's black and furry with red eyes? Rover? Yeah, I guess that's a better. Yeah. It's yes, hellhounds. The
Hellhounds.
hellhounds. Last we talked, we were doing talking about Crossroads. We sort of touched on this when we talked about Hecate. Her companion or symbol is often like associated with a dog, probably largely because she's underworld, and the dogs, like a lot of these things, it's like specifically like hellhounds or basically devilish dogs or whatever, ghost dogs, maybe a better thing, tend to be associated with liminal space travel. Like, they kind of go between worlds. They can be good and bad, demonic, and sometimes helpful.
Those are dogs.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Having dealing with a puppy right now, I can tell you that's the case. At one point they love you, the next they're not doing what they want to do and biting you, and so yeah. So
sometimes they're looking at you and being like, "I gotta take you to the crossroads."
Yeah. So with Hecate and three-way crossroads and dogs wandering in these in-between spaces. Hellhounds as just as an archetype seems to be like they're usually like black, red eyes. They usually appear at night and they often appear in these like in-between spaces, sometimes like cemeteries, sometimes crossroad type situations or edges of town, lurking in the shadows, coming like kind of thing. And they can probably the most famous of them, I would say, would probably be like Cerberus, the three-headed dog that's supposed to guard the underworld. Again, like these, hellhounds are largely associated with like the underworld. Sometimes that underworld isn't like like hell. It's just another realm where the dead are, like like Hades or I forget what the Welsh version of this is. It's the same thing. It's like it's not a bad place, It's like there, but like Cerberus keeps the dead in the underworld and keeps the living from coming into the underworld. It's like a guardian of the space, which hellhounds also can be sort of guardians of these, like like dogs would be like guardians of these spaces that are in between to keep the people out from the in between spaces, or to guard like hidden knowledge. Probably like at least the oldest in recorded, because obviously these things stem cross culturally all around the world. There's always a variation of it, just like when we talked about like the boogeyman or things like that. It's got this like archetypal thing. But the oldest in like recording that we know of that would be like probably like Anubis, in his dog form, also leading and helping people, to get to the afterlife, weighing their heart against a feather, so that kind of thing. So there's like, so it's like, so seemingly this, like the dog can either be there to enforce some kind of thing and bring you into like, the underworld or keep you out, or be a companion to lead you to a place like you need to go. So and the it's like it's interesting that like probably because like so much of like dogs being the earliest animal companion that we have, they do for most of human existence, they do live in between this kind of world. They're a wild animal that we've turned into a non-wild animal, and they're on the hunts. They're guardians of like your space, and protectors. But they're also, can be roving packs of wild and violent dogs in the wilderness and things. So there's definitely this kind of like, I think so. This occupies that thing. Other things hellhounds can be like with association with like cemetery and stuff, aside from guardians. It can be like portents of like death, like if you see like, I think in the Scottish version there's like, if you see the dog, it's like, it means it crosses your path. It means you're going to die, it's like death is coming for you. So it's like, so basically like, again, they're coming out of this liminal space to tell you like your time's up, So that's a so it's but kind of like it's but it's weird. It does seem to be like a lot of them all have like these kind of similar to the Mothman, this glowing red eyes, like this thing going into our sort of ghost rules slash liminal space rules. The Hellhound kind of occupies both because it's like sometimes it's he's there at the guardian between the liminal space to keep you out or to help you in, and sometimes it's like he's like it's only out at night, like the daylight gets rid of them. It's like they like they're like getting like they tend to occupy certain boundaries and barriers. So it's similar to kind of like the Headless Horsemen. They have a sort of regional and time based situation. So yeah, that's a
The other week we were talking about Robert Johnson. He's got the Hellhound song, and it's kind of like being chased by these dogs. Sometimes it's associated with like basically you sold your soul and now you're trying to get away. Devil's sending his boys after you. Tommy Johnson is probably the guy. He cultivated like this sinister persona, like the Marilyn Manson before Marilyn Manson, of having sold his soul to the devil to boost his appearance. Now his popularity. He actually wound up outliving Robert Johnson. He lived until he was in like his 80s or something like that. Robert Johnson was 27, the famous.
no one came for his soul, at least not for a while, I guess.
Yeah, yeah. Maybe it's easier to get away with it if you could just throw off the scent or something. Or the old red herring. The red herring. Speaking of tangents, red herring is a
Speaking of tangents
throwing...
that are definitely trying to distract you from what is actually going on.
Yes.
So,
red herring is a way of throwing off someone off your trail it was like a hunting trick for like throwing off, I guess, rival hunters' dogs by throwing a fish somewhere to throw them off so you could get whatever you're going after. But yeah, red herring. And the guy that almost always was accused of doing it in the Scooby-Doo tales, Scooby-Doo kids.
I'll interject real quick.
Yeah.
When we were in San Diego over the summer, we were the one hotel we were staying at. We were killing time in the morning before checkout, and the kids happened to stumble across MythBusters. Great show, respect.
Nice.
And they were doing the one where if you were on the run, what can you do to evade a dog that's chasing you from the authorities, essentially? And I don't remember what the outcome was, but they tried a bunch of different things, and some of the stuff worked. I'm sorry. A lot of the stuff didn't work. I can't remember if any of it worked. I want to say they came back with plausible for certain things, but I don't remember. So if anyone's watching this and you're interested, find out that episode on MythBusters. I don't have any more information about it. So ask Google, or I'm sorry, no, excuse me. Ask your favorite search engine or maybe your favorite AI thing.
I think it's you leave treats. You put treats down, and like if they see you doing it, you just kind of shh, kind of.
They did. There was. I don't remember if it was the same one or not, but there was one that were trying to rob a safe. Like, simulating you're in a house trying to get to the safe, and one person did do that. I can't remember if it was Tori or someone, but you had the treats, and I can't remember how it was at least successful for a bit. I can't remember if it was 100% if they got to the safe and got out, or if they got most of the way there. But treats, they were at least somewhat effective, from what I remember.
They used to work for me when I did security. Like. So yeah, so hellhounds. But yeah, so but that notion of the devil's muscle, to come and get his stuff, yeah, I mean, going back to we talked like Hecate. Now Hecate being sort of she's not a threshold guardian, but it kind of becomes that after a minute, But it's this idea of somebody that's at the edge of the world, someone that can. Someone that you might want to make a deal with to get stuff, So it's actually not too different, when it comes to talking about the hellhounds and things.
There is a instance, I think, for supposedly on Walpurgisnacht.
Yeah.
It's like the devil is actually supposed to take up like a dog form and wander around, and so sometimes you might see like that's in Germany, like. Chris, you actually might be able to expand on that a little bit more than that. But but like, and I know that was like that same kind of like the festival, like, you know, kind of thing is also adapted for like for Faust, for the play, you know, like for Goethe's play, you know.
Yeah.
But in that, it's not a dog; it's like actually the devil. Like, hey, like we're taking you to the other world, you know, like kind of thing. But the idea is like, you know, the devil's wandering around, you know, like I guess stirring up mischief, but it's like really interesting though. But it doesn't seem like the Hellhound's directly like a trickster of any sorts. Usually, it's usually like pretty straightforward kind of. You know,
It's usually, it seems to usually be on some kind of mission. Now the Walpurgisnight thing, or Walpurgisnacht, it's for those. Actually, a lot of Americans don't know about this because we, for whatever reason, like to rip ourselves off when it comes to Halloween. But there's another Halloween. There's a Walpurgisnacht is April 30th, and it is named after it's Saint Walpurga, the leader of she took over an abbot after her brother died, and it's in this mountainous region of Germany, otherwise known as Germany. We call Germany, it's pretty mountainous, but that's me. I've never visited. Sorry, German fans. Leave it in the comments. You know how I roll here. So yeah, it's basically it's the day before May Day. It's a festival celebrating the beginning of spring. It's basically
that's like kind of Wicker Man vibes.
yeah, well, you know, like so Beltane is also on May 1st, if I'm not mixing up my reconstructed feasts. If I'm not, yeah. But and I like all of those, by the way. Don't take my snarkiness as shade. I love any party. And so yeah, so May Day is the one that's got the famous, or Beltane has got the dancing around the pole with the ribbons and things like that. And that's yeah, the Wicker Man. Both movies kind of harken back to this idea of a pagan feast, the fertility type feast, on May Day. But the night before May Day is Walpurgisnacht. And they tend to pair up. You'll have like these like scary nights where witches and dead things roam around, are like the day before like holy days and holidays and stuff. So Halloween is All Hallows Eve because it's All Hallows, All Saints, all the holy ones, All Hallows Eve. And so the night before is this other thing, you know, these monsters and stuff. So Walpurgisnacht is similar, but it's specifically associated with witches, and the witches travel to the Brocken, this particular mountain, to consort with the devil, because it's that type of witch in this story, you know, and they fly around and do things, and they're all necky and things like that. It's a good time if you can go. And those of you that don't celebrate Walpurgisnacht, you're missing out on a good time. April 30th. It's 10 days after another good holiday. April 30th, you know, celebrate this. Dress up like a witch. I'll be doing it.
And there's no excuse because this episode drops just after the new year, so you can start planning now.
You can plan now. Don't let another year go by where you ignore or are unaware of Walpurgisnacht. Hellhounds will come and get you if you reject an invite.
Or specifically the devil.
Or the devil in the form of Hellhound, not in his usual shape of goat. Although he probably goat too. It's a long party. Witches have to travel from all over the world, you know.
So Hellhounds, they are. I don't think we. And apologies if Bill, you did cover this. The general look of them, they're very large. I want to say what, like 6 feet long, something like that. How big are they?
I think they're like, yeah. I mean, they're like big dog. I mean, well, they usually get described as like large. I think the ones that are like in like England and Scotland, all they're like usually like a mastiff, so a very big sized dog, you know. So I mean, like that, obviously that could be like if a mastiff is standing up on his paws, and they, you know, it would be, yeah, probably about that, you know, big. It's like, but they're usually, yeah, and they're usually black and they usually have red eyes, like they usually, and they're in some kind of spectral, variant of them, but yeah, and it's there's so it's but it doesn't a lot of times like I didn't come across like a lot of like size descriptions, mostly just like, oh god, it's a scary black dog that just like came out to get, or like you see it from far away and it's like howling, like in the distance or something, like it's it's kind of like some of it is also probably because it's just, like, again, like hunting dogs, like, so there's like that wild hunt, which I think we've touched on before, type of element, like in a couple of variations, like I think the, like there's obviously like a Norse version of that. There's also a Welsh version of the sort of wild hunt that's like, also has to deal with like spectral dogs. I think the Welsh dog can have like, it can actually, its eyes will change depending on if it's being good or evil. I think that's that one where it's like its eyes might be blue if it's going to be good and help you, and it's like its eyes will be red if it's going to turn on, like
So kind of going along with this. So this is an interesting thought. So we talked about the domestication of dogs. Okay.
Yeah.
Does anybody know how far back that goes? And where I'm going with this, you have Greek mythology. As far as I found out, hellhounds were all like Cerberus is all like demonic, the guardian of the hell or Hades or whatever, not necessarily guiding you from one place to another. And I'm curious if there is a correlation between the change in the role of the hellhound around the time where dogs were actually domesticated. Does anyone know anything about either of those?
Well,
About
I mean,
15,000 years.
yeah, I was gonna say,
from what I
dogs are
understand.
well before civilization domesticated dogs.
Okay, okay.
So,
Yeah, so agricultural revolution was put at something like 10,000 BCE.
14 years
And-
ago.
Yeah, they're still trying to figure it out. But yeah. So it might have something to do more with like shifts in government or something like that. Oftentimes, the stories that govern, they shift the stories up in order to.
but maybe this is better.
Drug sniffing hellhounds.
Yeah. Well, I mean, like, but if you think about like
That's my nightmare.
Cerberus is not really like necessarily like evil, right? It's like
Right.
it's like, because it's only evil to you if you're trying to break into Hades.
You're not
or
supposed to go to
get
the
out of
land of
Hades.
the
Like
dead.
he's just
Yeah.
guarding the thing. And obviously, like Anubis is like has multi facets, other than just that, or something like that. Being like getting into like the old variations of them. I think it's like also the nature of like probably like you have like this like wild dogs like are kind of scary, so they have that element, but yet dogs are like, we often view dogs, if you're someone who likes dog, I know not everyone is a dog fan, but I think most people, so they're probably like having that distinct different weirdness of it, is like it kind of falls into that like why they're kind of like seen as being like they can be like not
Like a dual
malevolent
nature kind of.
yeah, exactly, and not like kind of like I guess malevolent, how like cats can sometimes be more malevolent because we know they're like mischievous, and there are very wild cats that can and will eat you, it's like that will hunt you down. And so I mean there's a, so that's, it's like it's just like that difference. So I think like, and like, so when like a hellhound is also sort of like, it might be working for someone, but it also might be like just this feral, like nature has reverted it back, right? Like it's taken back over the dog. Like there's one that like I've come across two instances of ones that were like, one was I think it's the Catalonian, right? And it's like, which is kind of funny, but it reminds me a little bit of a chupacabra, but it's a dog, but it's like they're vampire dogs. Like they suck your blood, but they particularly like the blood of people who have been drinking a lot of wine and are out late at night and they're wandering home.
There's a moral component to this as well as
so the idea is like
prey kind of.
Yeah, it's supposed to be like this idea of like, don't be drunk, like and wandering around. These vampire dogs will get you, right? Like
It's like doesn't matter the kind of wine. Malbec. I hate Malbec.
Yeah. I don't, so it's but then there was like I can't remember the other one was like something about like it was like I thought this was really funny. I was like, this is really strange. It was like it's a protector of people who are drunk. Like it'll actually like if you're drunk and wandering around and you encounter this dog, it'll help guide you like where you have to go, so it keeps you safe on your way home from being I don't know drinking, being out too late drinking. So there's different kind of like weird like like that weird I guess dual nature, but it's like the same kind of theme. But one is this kind of moralizing, and the other one is like, oh, it's helpful.
It sounds like the kind of thing somebody would wish for if they were drunk and had the opportunity to make wishes. I wish I had a dog take care of me whenever I was drunk.
Yeah, make sure I got home.
Make sure I got home.
Keeps me hydrated, gets me water and Tylenol.
Oh man!
As opposed to like a Saint Bernard, a dog that tries to get you drunk actively, like with this little barrel.
which deserves its minor tangent on dog saints. You have the Saint Bernard, which is a dog. Bill, you pointed this out to me.
Yeah.
A dog named after a saint, but it's a dog. And then you've got Saint Gwynefort. Saint Gwynefort is a dog and is a saint. And I've never heard a person named Gwynefort after that, but probably out of respect for the dog. But or maybe because you just don't name people after dogs. But anyone in our if you name your kid after Gwynefort and you send out announcement things with dogs on them, we will give you a free year of our Patreon once we make it.
The non-existent Patreon.
It doesn't have to be a real kid. It has to be believable enough that we would be fooled by it. And based on our conversations, what that would take. So don't go too far. But a fraud or a hoax that convinces us you named your kid Gwynefort and sent out an announcement in the form of dog cards. Sound fair? I think that's worth our Patreon.
I agree with that. Put in the comments of where we can find this, and we'll set you up.
I tried to see if there was any relation between like, because I was thinking like, oh, I wonder if there's like some relation between like the foo dogs, the guardians, and but it really wasn't. Other than like foo dogs are like just guardians of a thing, So other than the liminal space, it wasn't really like it didn't have the same kind of vibe. Though there is a Japanese like variant where it's like a yokai, I guess, or like a dog, and if it starts, if you're wandering like down in like a mountain path or something like that, right? You're wandering home through the woods or something, and then the dog starts following you. You can't, if you fall down, the dog will eat you. But if you are lying down and you like appear to just be resting, it'll leave you alone. And then there's some other variants that if it follows you all the way home, you have to like give it a treat or something and make it go away so it doesn't come to get you, like and then there's like, and then it comes in that variant too of like, I think in there, and there's a couple other ones where it's like, again, like ghost rules, like it has to be like allowed in, it's not going to break into your home or something, but it will stay out there until until you give it something to go away, because in the weird sense it's like, so it sort of protects people potentially, but also is kind of malevolent, like might get you as well, So it's like sort of like so there's like that again, the weird like dual nature kind of thing. But it's very very weird.
There's a story. This is not a dog, but there's a story in, oh God, I want to say it's Peru. Anyway, that there's this idea of
For your benefit, I have to interrupt. Peru.
I wish I remembered what that stupid joke even was. Yeah, that's where that came from. Anyway, if you sleep on your back, a jaguar won't eat you. If you sleep face up, because it sees you as an other, as a being, and not as an object to be eaten. It's just some
I don't know if I
lore.
want to test that out, but
Yeah, yeah, no. Nah, I have weird luck.
yeah. I mean, I hope I'm not in a place where there's jaguars unless there's escaped ones from
Yeah.
some zoo. But even then, I feel like it's gonna be pretty.
And if they're like laying low and trying not to be seen, just kind of, hey, if anyone, you didn't see a jaguar around here.
But
It's
also,
kind
but don't lay down on the road and get run over by like the car. But I guess that's a jaguar.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't think they will care. I don't know. Jaguar owners, I doubt you're watching this, but would you run a person over if they were laying face up in the road?
I don't know, but
Or
tying
only
all,
run them
tying
over if
all
they're
of
laying
this
face
together
down?
with the song Man Eater, there's a famous misheard lyric in there, at least I misheard it my whole life. A she-cat tamed by the purr of a jaguar. Jaguar, as he pronounces it there.
Jaguar.
So the song Man Eater ties into this. But none of this has to do with hellhounds. Unless oh God, who is they're a Philly group that did the Man Eater. Hall & Oates. Unless Hall & Oates sold their soul at a Crossroads, in which case I don't know what else to say about that. But
They might have. I don't know.
yeah, they might have. I mean,
Just
So I wish I thought of this earlier. So listeners and watchers, if you want to test out the Crossroads, I guess is that typically done on New Year's Eve? Can it be done anytime?
I mean,
oh wait, the New Year's Eve with the 3-stool thing? Yeah, like
yeah,
go ahead.
yeah. No, the three-stool thing, a three-legged stool at a three-way crossroad on New Year's Eve, and you'll hear who dies that year.
Okay, no. Okay, so for our listeners and watchers, this just occurred to me. I wish I thought of this earlier. If you want to summon a dog that'll protect you and take care of you while you've been drinking, do that at the Crossroads. Put down the offering and see if you can get one of these dogs.
And the offering should be alcohol-related or alcohol, because think of why you're summoning that dog.
Can we go a couple
or
of
your
dog treats in
blood
too?
if you've drank a lot of wine.
Or yeah, if you've had some wine, you can just go, I need a ride. just bare your neck or wrist and just say you need a ride. Come thou forth, you can just approximate the name because you might be, it's used to hearing some slurred, come forth, I swear it wasn't Malbec. You heard about the one? That sounds like the beginning of a joke. A hellhound busts into a church. Did you hear about this? 1577 in Suffolk or Norfolk. And that's how it's said, right? You don't say the LK like we do in the States, like Norfolk, right?
I believe so.
In Suffolk or North, it was in Suffolk, I believe. It is known, it is a form of the hellhound known as the Black Shuck or Old Shuck, or simply Shuck or Shucky Poo if you're really, really close or dating. Busted into a church in 1577 in Suffolk and killed 2 people. When it busted in, its paws burned into the floor and the door. And then it was in the midst of a storm, a lightning storm. It killed 2 people. The congregation was there. Nobody even tried to stop it. Again, air quote Christians. But here we go. No one tried to stop it. They're all just scared to hell, Yeah. Maybe they had it coming to them. But yeah, they killed 2 people and left. Burned its claw marks into the doors, which are allegedly still there. You can go and see it. It is there a name of this church? It's an Anglican church. Google Black Shuck. It's in Bengay, Suffolk.
Similar to that, in April of '72, I just pulled this up. Apparently, a Coast Guard officer, Graham Grant, reported seeing the Black Shuck as well. And it was just kind of there, was hanging out, and then it vanished. Allegedly, he had never heard of the story before. So maybe he saw something, maybe he didn't. Maybe it was his eyes playing tricks on him. But interesting nonetheless. It's a modern day story back in 1972. Yeah. Only 53 years ago. 54, because we're in the new year. 54 years ago.
Well, and that's when I hear something like this. So like 1577 is not that long ago. I mean, yeah, okay, it's long ago. But like when you consider like, oh well, this tale, like when we talked about the tale of the devil, the devil with the magic sack, and it was during our Crossroads conversation, but it was like the devil and the blacksmith. It harkens back to like Bronze Age tales. So you've got the Bronze Age, and then you've got like 1577 is like a few years ago compared to the Bronze Age, you know.
Yeah.
So yeah,
The Bronze Age is only coming out of like, Neolithic, or
Yeah,
something like it's like
yeah.
you're just getting out of like it's like civilization. Here we go.
yeah.
It's like,
I mean, versus domestication of the dog 15,000 years ago and stuff. So when I hear more recent tales like that, it's kind of interesting. And then, of course, we had those sightings in New York City in the 1980s at Rick Moranis' party. What was his name in the... Yeah, the Ghostbusters. The Hellhounds and Ghostbusters.
Until you mentioned Rick Moranis, I thought this was a real story that I had not heard yet. And then you mentioned him, and I was like, oh, there it is.
No, this strange things did happen at parties in the 80s.
People would bring
Largely
dogs.
because of increased drug use. But yeah, because spirits show up when you've got stuff to share. You know, you go, hey, Shuck, this one for you. And Shuck's like, you do have the Hellhounds, they enter into pop culture. You've got, you do have the dogs in Ghostbusters, which are kind of they are there to assist with the workings of Gozer.
Yes, Gozer the Gozerian. I
Yeah,
believe.
yeah. And for the bringing back Zuul, because it's never too late to bring back Zuul. If you've got a fridge, Zuul might be there. But those were devil dogs. There are devil dogs. There are the snacks.
That they are.
Of
there
which,
are the
if you're not the snack, they could be.
And if you like devil dogs, put them in the freezer and then take them out later. It's a nice little treat when they've been frozen.
Ah,
I'm more of a
I wish
Swiss
I knew about
cake
that
roll,
back when I still.
like devil dogs, but with chocolate on top. Yeah.
I might meet I might meet the guy at the Crossroads to get rid of some food allergies, and then I can I can partake in these. Till then, we're just gonna have to rely on our very good-looking, smart, and good taste listeners and viewers to leave it in the comments, you beautiful folks, about whether you followed Dan's note. Oh, and if you broke a tooth on that, yeah, we're not nutritionists. We're a bunch of idiots that talk about these things. So.
It's a podcast. And you talk about things.
Give it a whirl. That does sound pretty good.
Speaking of the weird one that I came across, it's French or like that's Brittany. I guess it goes far enough back. There's a ghost ship that's manned by sold prisoners, so ghosts there, and it's guarded by basically like Hellhound type, guardians on the ship, so they can't get off. Your spirits can't leave the ghost ship, So yeah, so I thought that one was kind of a weird one. It's like
that is a weird one.
Yeah, so it's like they're like I usually don't think of like, I mean, guess you would have dogs on boats, and things like that, but like it's kind of a guard dogs on boats, keeping the trapped souls, I guess, forever rowing this boat around, But yeah, I thought that one was particularly strange too. Yeah, so
Yeah, I hope they're not skeletal forms.
yeah,
Those dogs would really be something to contend with. There is another form of the Hellhound that's not as hellish, but it does deal with dogs. And it's the Grim, the Graveyard Grim. It's a churchyard dog that guards the cemetery, and sometimes the church, sometimes the keepers of the church. I first encountered this in an anime, actually, Maotsukai no Yome, or the what is it, the the magician, the Magus, Ancient Magus Bride is the English translation. Ancient Magus Bride, Magus. And there's a character that is the Grimm. You meet them in the first couple episodes, so that's not really a spoiler. But the Grimm, so oftentimes a black dog would be buried in the churchyard. Hopefully one that had died of natural causes. Again, not to be wagging my fingers at shady Christians, you know, but you shouldn't do that. Shouldn't bury things alive. You shouldn't kill things. The other hellhounds will come to get you. But that's one that's not a bad guy, but probably still not a welcome encounter. Oftentimes these things are described, Dan, you mentioned this, they're often described as being supernaturally large, often described as being the size of horses. And the ones that are associated with the wild hunt were like huge, like riding along with the horses and stuff like that. Also associated with the hellhound, not quite, and I can't remember the damn name now. There's a wolf that's supposed to wake up and break out of its chains at Ragnarok.
I never. It's what's the name of the dog? It's Hell's dog, like Hell, Hel, like
the
not
Hell, the
Hell,
goddess.
like Hell, the goddess.
Hell's dog Ragnarok.
The hell of a dog.
Yeah, it's a hell of a dog. Hey.
Garm. I think it's
Pirate's dog.
It's Garm. It definitely has a growly sound to. Well, when you say it like I just did, yeah, let's bring you back to the ship. It's a pirate. Those dogs were all Garm. It looks like it's got an R on the end. It's Garmer.
It's a Garmin. It helps you follow your GPS when you're lost in the woods at the end of the world. Right? It still works.
Yeah. So at Ragnarok, when everything goes to hell and the giants come to kill all the gods, they take out Valhalla and everything. Those of you that were betting on Valhalla to be the place that you can chill because there's like warrior spirits and stuff, you know the giants eventually come and smash you to bits, right? It doesn't end well. It doesn't. You still wind up getting destroyed by the giants. Freaking giants! I guess we're gonna have to talk about giants at some point. Because there's stories of giants that are supposed to be around. Even like early. I mean, talk about just yesterday, like the early colonial explorers, and even later than that. And even probably in the 90s. I'm sure there are other better podcasts.
I think the San Diego or San Francisco Giants. Is that right?
They're the ones that play American football, yeah.
I think that's baseball, but...
You know what?
Correct. Yeah, definitely drag.
The New York Giants
It's the football. Yeah, there you go. That would have been the better call. You can see I know a lot about.
If we know about these things, do you think we know a lot about sports? I'll speak for myself. No.
Yeah. Everything I learned about sports, I learned from video game sports. So,
And George Carlin.
Yes. Yeah, probably that.
Yeah. He got me to write a bunch of them off.
So,
Completely...
I mean, Oh, sorry, Dan.
No, you got it.
No. Go.
Mine's completely unrelated.
Yeah, go for it. All
right, so completely unrelated. I stumbled across this other show called The Dave Benson Show. It's kind of like a late night kind of show, and it made me think of this. Perhaps we need a laugh track on our podcast. Bring back like the old school 90s sitcom with a laugh track.
Or always like in flying circus, it's like you see like the audience, it's like old ladies, like they're clapping, you know.
Maybe think because in his talk show he has like the applause sound, which we think of laugh track for us.
I think we probably should bring it back. Put the applause or the laughs after my jokes though, because I need all the help I can get.
And then we need crickets as well for times where we totally just fail.
Put them after my other jokes.
Put them after my joke. Yeah.
I like to give some practical advice to our viewers when it comes to this kind of thing. Hecate is long in this business, and it might just be worth it to make nice with the dogs of Hecate and with Hecate herself. If you feel like you're in an industry or lifestyle that you might encounter these kinds of things. And
make nice with dogs anyway.
Make nice with dogs anyway, wherever you go.
unless they're like a vicious evil dog that's going to eat you. Those vampire dogs definitely don't make nice with them.
I think what I'm trying to say is that if you have not accepted Hecate as your patron deity, then you might want to consider it now while you still have the time. Now, you might know from previous conversations that I have not yet done that, but listeners, I was also voted in grade school and high school most likely to get eaten by hellhounds. So don't take my lack of caution as a reason that you can be lax. Get at it. Find your three-way crossroads today and make your future brighter, at least from a hellhound's perspective. All right.
All right, so we go. Okay, so you're wandering either at the roads, at the edge of town, or past a graveyard, or home drunk, or at some three-way stop sign for some reason. This is lighting something, but you're not in a car. You happen to be walking. It's nighttime. Daytime's not gonna be for a while, and a giant, supernaturally giant black dog with glowing red eyes is coming after you. Like, is this a frightening scenario? I mean, but is it one? I don't know. To eat you?
It wants pets.
Yeah, what's a belly rub?
It wants to go walkies.
Yeah. Definitely what's
Sausages.
Yeah, sausages.
Forget distracting the dogs with all kinds of things. Just try to give it a belly rub. That'll solve the problem.
Yeah. But it's still like dragging you to hell, depending if you hit its tickle spot. It's like, yeah, so yeah, yes. Yeah, dogs can be nice. They can be our friendly companions, or they can be vicious murderous vampire demon dogs. Yeah, that'll turn on you in a second. Without a second thought. So they will eat you, probably. Like if you're dead, assuming you die of natural causes, they may infect you. Yeah. But yeah, these generally non-domestic dogs wandering around being evil. Yeah, I'm gonna say, and potentially best case scenario, you're going to the underworld, and it's not a horrible afterlife. Worst case scenario, you're being eaten or dragged to hell. So there's there's kind of like these kinds of like things. Neither one seem very very good. So yeah, so I'm gonna go. Hellhounds are like I like dogs, like obviously, but yeah, hellhounds are pretty scary. I'm gonna say like I wouldn't want to encounter a giant freaking glowing red-eyed dog on a road at night by myself when I'm walking around, especially if I've already made some kind of crossroad demon deal, or I've done, or I'm drunk. I don't want either of these things to happen. So I'm gonna definitely give it a solid 3. Arf, 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 I think is what it's.
3 arf. 3 arf. All right. Well, all right. Well, I guess since I'm talking now, I guess I'll
bang there. It's off to you. Throwing a bone.
Yeah. Yeah, that's pretty scary. Tell you the truth, when I'm alone at night on a road, I just want to remain alone. Unless it's an endless liminal space that is just an endless road, which we haven't encountered that particular thing yet. But yeah, I generally don't want to encounter anything on the road, glowing eyes or not. But yeah, that sounds pretty damn scary. I guess the best I could hope for is that I'm for some reason drunk, which probably already means it was a really, really bad day. If it's post 2016, which seems to be, or 2006 rather. Yeah, I want to go back even further. Yeah, that's pretty scary. That's pretty scary. I guess I would just hope. Is that what you do at that point? You just hope?
Yeah.
Or do you convert to the religion most likely to keep you safe while the dog between then and when it gets to you? I'm gonna give it probably 4 and a half eaten homework. Because it's all right. I'll do another. I'm gonna raise this. I'm gonna say, what's your strategy in a second, and then we're gonna roll a d6 and we're gonna find out what kind of hellhound it was. See if your strategy was good. Yeah, 4.5 eating homework, and but my strategy is that as it's got glowing red eye. Damn. Okay, if I'm by myself, I've got one strategy. If I'm with somebody else, I've got another. Let's say I'm with my friend Red Herring. And I'm walking along, and
He's the Hellhound. It was trying to throw you off the whole time. That was
and this thing is coming from behind. And we look back and we see it. And then I say, "It found you, Baba! Run!" And just hope, sorry, Red, hope that works. That it just goes after the other one and I get away, because apparently I'm some kind of scoundrel anyway, because I've already sold my soul and it's coming for me. If I haven't, I'm going to lay down in the street, I guess face up, and I'm going to hope that it just thinks I'm sleeping, or that it's actually a jaguar. And I'm just going to see how that works. All right, we're gonna have to do a D6 chart or something, right? So we got, what do we have? We've got the drunk helper. We've got the drunk antagonist, right? Because one of them,
the bloodsucker. Yeah, the blood.
the bloodsucker.
The devil.
The devil. The devil itself. You've got the thugs. The money man, the collectors, the collector dogs. They're there for your soul.
I think one of the numbers has to be other.
Yeah,
because there's always that possibility. It's other.
It's just a dog. It's your neighbor's dog. It's tags and all. Like you're like, hey, your neighbor's dog that also is going into your trash all the time. Like, so
yeah. So 6 is other, probably, hopefully not a hellhound. we need one more in there.
You need one more. The dog that's going to destroy Ragnarok.
Oh shit! Yeah.
It's literally the end of everything.
Yeah, because then what difference does it make what your strategy is? Hopefully you get there before the giants do.
So the real question is, do you give the results of the die roll in this one, or do you wait till the next drop?
See, we'll have to decide. But I'll tell you what we will do. We're going to take your vote, and then I want to hear your strategy, and then, Bill, your strategy, and then I'm going to roll and let you know what we all got. And we can decide on the edit whether it goes in one or the other one.
Sounds good. All right, so Hellhounds, I don't know if I'm getting braver the more that we're doing these or not. So
giant demon dog, you're like, yeah. Yeah, you're like, I'll get it. That's fine.
But the thing with the Hellhound, it's either there to punish you or protect you. So it's if I'm getting punished anyway, I'm getting punished regardless, I feel like. So it's not like it's going to chase me down and like gnash at me and throw me around or something like that, or just claw its way through. It seems like there's some kind of I deserve this, whatever, I'm getting punished, or it's just kind of there to help get me home safely or something like that. Or go after the person that's walking with me. So for me, I don't find it particularly all that scary, more so than say a regular dog. If I encountered a regular dog walking home at night, I think I'd be definitely on guard more, because it's like they are very unpredictable.
They're harder to categorize.
Yeah. They are. This one's very nice and clean. It's either this or that. Once you get into real dogs, quote unquote real dogs, they could be, there's a spectrum instead. So I'm going to give this, I think 2 dogs and a puppy is my rating. And a strategy. Okay. So I see this thing. It's what is coming at me from behind. Was that the scene?
I think initially it was in front of you. That was my way of getting it to chase after a red herring, but yeah.
Okay, I'm going to try to just run and get away from it. If I can climb up to higher ground, climb up on a tree or a pickup truck, or maybe break into a car and try to drive off. If it's really big, maybe I can get under the car so it gets too big to get to me. I don't know. I'm going to be frantically panicking, and
All right, so
it probably will not end well.
you're going for a hiding spot or a running away. So that'll be your strategy. We'll roll for you in a second here. All right.
All right. So my strategy, I don't even know. Let's see. Is there a bridge? Can I run across? Yeah. Is there something like
We can try
Exit
a
the
bridge.
cemetery.
yeah, exit the cemetery? Yeah. I mean, I guess like running like may work, but I don't know if that's really work. If there's nowhere to duck into, I don't think running is a best strategy. I'm going to go with the treats. Like, do I have a no? Better yet, pick up a stick and wing the stick. See if it fetch it. Because I know dealing right now, dealing with the new dog. Man, does he love sticks? Like any and he like we're walking outside. He's still learning how to walk on a leash, But if there's a stick, he grabs it and he runs until the leash goes thunk, like, and then he can't go anymore. It's like so. And he wants to take that stick and get as far away from me as possible with the stick because he doesn't want me to take it away from him. So I think I will pick up the closest, probably a tree branch if it's a big giant demon dog and wing it. Because I think running. Speak of Ghostbusters. Not that Ghostbusters is a particularly scary movie. Obviously, it's supposed to be a comedy, but like the thing that I always found most disturbing about when Rick Moranis' character gets run down by the demon dog is nobody cares. There's tons of people around, and everyone's just like, even to the point where he gets to the thing and he's knocking on the windows of the dinner, and everyone just like sees him and is like, ah, and like people at the party clearly see the dog, like it runs out, but everyone just kind of like goes back to eating, like, yep, that sucks. Oh well.
Like, what is this? A church in 1577?
Like no one. So I don't know that. It doesn't seem like running is effective. So I'm gonna go with big stick. Throw a big stick.
I'm gonna add to that. I think that it would be very effective, and I'll tell you guys a story. I don't know if either of you were actually here for this, but when I was a kid, we had our dog Bonsai, and like any other dog, you say the dog would go for a walk, and they go all crazy and everything. So here I am, I'm probably like 8 or something, walking this dog on a leash, and she happens to break out of my hands, and she starts taking off down the road. I'm like, oh my god, like dog loose, my parents are going to kill me, and just happen to yell out to the dog. I say, hey, Bonsai, you want to go for a walk? Stops dead in her tracks, looks back, and I'm like, come on. I start running. She follows me. I get her back into the fenced in yard. I close it, and then I like breathe a sigh of relief. So I think there's something to be said about the dogs and their instinct. By taking that bone and throwing it, you might be able to do something. I think that could work.
Let's find out. Let's find out.
All right,
let's find out what kind of dogs we had.
All right.
All right, so I'll go first. We got a 6-sided die here. I don't remember what the options were, so I'm just gonna kind of. All right, I rolled a 5. Apocalypse dog.
Well,
He actually doesn't care about me. He's here to kill Thor. I mean, I'm done for anyway, so but I guess I still have time to party. So I got Apocalypse dog. My strategy worked out, thank God. All right, let's see.
Red herring actually was Odin or something. It's a.
All right, Dan. The bloodsucker. So actually, Dan, you're okay. You're okay. I don't know if you were drinking or not. Say odds or evens. Odds you were drinking.
Oh, so you shouldn't have said that. No, I need like a coin to flip now or something. Oh, wait,
No,
we can do
maybe I'll just.
Hold on, no, I'll do heads or tail with my less than favorite search engine. Okay, say. Oh wait. Okay, I have it in front of me. What's what?
If it's heads, you were drinking.
All right, it says tails. I was not drinking.
You're not drinking.
You're okay.
So the dog's just kind of like, oh, my bad. Kind of like smell a little like wine. This is one of the talking ones. Okay.
It's just grapes.
Yeah, so you're okay too. We're pretty lucky. I don't know about this guy.
I mean, the devil.
Probability 3.0.
Here we go. All right, you also got the bloodsucker dog. What's with you two?
No.
All right, let's see.
Okay.
Dan. Let's do the heads or tails. Or Bill, do you have a coin?
No, I do not have a coin handy.
Do heads or tails again.
All right, so we'll do heads or tails. If it's heads, you were drinking.
Yeah. Okay.
Tails.
All right. So what after the stick? After all, it's actually friendly now.
So actually, audience, it turns out that it's actually not that hard to survive Hellhound encounters.
Just hopefully you're not drinking.
Hopefully it's the right
It seems
kind.
like the vampire dogs are the ones that. It's the crap.
Maybe they're the real ones. Maybe they're the only ones that are still around.
I'm envisioning a title for this episode being "Survive the Hellhound Attack."
It's like
I thought we were all going to get killed. I was like, well, no matter what kind of dog
survive
it
a
is, you're not going to
hellhound
be able to
attack
run or hide.
so
Like,
easy you'll think it's illegal. It's like, so,
Oh my god. Oh god.
I
Someone else
should
might
do
think
that.
that's funny, but once we add those laugh trackers, we got the joke. All right. Well,
Okay.
I think that's doggone it.
yeah.
I think
let's,
we should stick a fork in this one.
let's
Hot dog.
Diggity
We've reached
hell-
the end of it.
well,